Hey everyone, this is just a quick video on filtering so that we can edit and correct the spelling of student names. And believe it or not, it happens more often than you would think. So let's get into the data. If we look into the data, we want to go into form responses, which is where all of the data is entered once we fill in a form. And it's in here in this column B that you're going to be able to see your student names. And if you look near the top, we've got student 7 spelt in different ways. So we've got student 7, which is the spelling that I want. And you want your student spelling to be the spelling that is on the class list. So if your student's name is Christopher on the class list, you just want to encourage your staff to be writing Christopher on the form so that we have a standard name, so that when we get into the school-wide data or more so the individual data and the multiple individuals, we are looking at one person instead of looking at 5 different spellings of that one person's name. So we've got student 7 here, but we also have student 7 written here where 7 is written out. We've got studs 7, and we have student 7 with a lowercase. So when it is entered different ways, if we go to individual data and we're trying to look up student 7, we're going to see student 7 here as one person, and then stud 7 as another person, and student 7 with the lowercase s as another person, whereas we know that those are all the same. So that's why we want on the form responses to do the filtering where we have the same spelling of that student's name so that they are seen as one individual by the data. So in order to do that, we go up here to the top bar. And this little kind of looks like the marker tip is our filter. And it's very similar to what it looks like when we are in first class. It's the same sort of thing. So you know that the filter is on 2 ways, that this before when it was off, the filter is empty. When we click on it, the filter is full, so it's solid, but you'll also notice that your top bar and your sidebar, so the letters and the numbers will either be highlighted in green or dark gray, and then the rest of your spreadsheet will usually be blue or you'll see some sort of filter. So to pick out student 7, we're going to go into this upside down pyramid. And in here we want to, all of the student names are selected. We want to clear. And we want to pick just the student that we want to filter by. So you're going to have to scroll down and kind of look for that student. If you have lots of individuals, there'll be lots of names to go through, but it's also a great opportunity to see where you'll need to correct some other spelling. So there's student 7, and we look here, we've got student 7 and student 3 entered in the same one. We want to make sure that we're only entering one student name per entry when we're naming them. And so it just keeps scrolling down and we can see student 7 is here. And look, I can see student 9R. There's a misspelling there, so I'll have to go and filter another time for them. And we keep scrolling down. So we've got stud 7. We want to filter out for that one. And I think there was another misspelling. So I'm just going to go up here. So there's student 77, which is another individual. So I think I have all of them. So I'm just double checking by scrolling up. Okay. And then you just go, okay. And this process will take a little bit longer because you're asking the program to filter out all of those names for all of the entries that have ever been recorded. And you can see now here, all of the student 7's misspellings are pulled up to the top. And the rest of the names are filtered out. It's not that we've lost them, we're just filtering for now. So to now change that student name, so I want this is the correct spelling, student 7 is what I want to have. We can do this one of 2 ways. One way is to right click and you can copy, or you can use the shortcut C. And then you can just go down and you can control V and you can paste. That's pretty time consuming and it takes a lot of time. A faster way to do it is if we just right click on it again. Oops, sorry. You want to highlight so that it knows what we're trying to copy. You go copy, and then all you have to do is kind of pull it down here and paste, and it changes the spelling for all of it. If you have a longer list, you can pull it down for your whole list, highlight your whole list so that they're all spelled the same. So down here, I just wanted to go, and I'm just double checking. Oh, so here we have a different one. So we're just gonna paste it here so that it has the same spelling. And then I would create another entry for student 3. So I can look at this number here, this value, and I can copy it. And I can just add it onto my bottom here, create a new entry for this guy. And I'm going to paste it here. And I'm going to change this to student 3. And then that way I've got that value in of that entry. So I'm just going to check all my spelling is the same. It's just pulling what I had last entered. So you just click and that's going to make that go away. And so there we go. So it's populating, it's checking that everything's the same. To turn it off, you just turn off the filter. This filter is a really great feature. For example, if you want to see, so let's turn the filter back on. We want to see, so we noticed in our data that period 5 is when a lot of the incidences are happening. So we can go here, we can clear, and we can pull out for just period 5. Okay. So I've turned off the filter for student 7, and now I'm turning on the filter to look at period 5. And you can have as many filters on as you wanted to get very specific at the data that you want to look at. So now it's just pulling out period 5. So why would I want to do this? Because maybe I want to see if period 5 is with a specific student, or I also want to look at the notes. Like I had because I had created this demo data sheet, I had deleted all the notes. But for you, you'll maybe want to go back and be able to read the notes to see what was more detail of what was written there. And this is, instead of having to scroll through all your data, you can just scroll through for period 5, and you can look at your consequences that are being placed there. And kind of see some commonality. And then if you want to remove that filter, you can just go here, select all, so all of them are selected again, go OK, and just turn off your filter up here. All right. And you can do that filter in any of the columns. So even you could filter it in for a timestamp, which might be really great. So I can't filter in here unless the filter is on. So again, I turn it on. I'm going to see that it's turning green up here. Oops. And then I want to go here and say I want to filter for a specific date. So I could clear. I could type in the value that I wanted. So I want to just look at the entries that were entered for this date. So I can just copy that and I can put it on here. Oops. Let me try that again. So I'm going to clear all of that. And I want just this date. So I want that I can just type it in here, 08-09-2015. And it's going to show me so different times that those have been entered. So then I can filter for those. And we can see there's only 3 entries here. So it's trying to filter out all of the other entries that are there. And you'll see those 3 entries at the top. So we can just see those 3 behaviors that were entered on that specific date for these students. And again, we can see what the commonalities are there. So being able to filter is a really great tool to even get even further into looking at something specific. And again, if I even just click off the filter, all the data is back in there. I don't necessarily have to select all. And so that's just a quick overview of how to filter. Thanks, and we'll talk to you next time.